Hello friends, and welcome to Storytime with Teacher Julian. Today, not once, not twice, 3 times. This is the 3rd time we are going to read Growing Trees. Now, do you remember anything about this book? Think back. Read it 2 times before. Let's see if you can remember anything about it. Well, I'm going to tell you, it was written by Judith Bauer Stamper and illustrated by Wesley Lowe. So we will see what happens in this book. Okay? Growing Trees. This is a picture of my tree and me. We've been growing up together for a whole year. Now, see how tall she is and how tall the tree is? Let's keep an eye on that. Let's watch that throughout this whole book. We can see who is changing through the book. It all began last summer. I went to visit a national forest with my mom and dad. A forest is a great place to learn about trees. There are trees as far as you can see. Now, do you remember about the national forest? Yep, a national forest is protected land for you and me to enjoy all the trees in nature. We took a hike with a forester, an expert on taking care of trees in the wild. The forester showed us small young trees and big old trees that were like towering giants. It says here that they went on a hike with a forester. I'm going to show a picture of children on a hike in the forest. Then he explained the life cycle of a tree. It all starts out with a seed. In the spring, the warm sun makes the seed germinate or begin to grow. The seed sprouts a small root that grows down into the ground. The root absorbs water and minerals from the soil. That's the beginning right here. Watch how it changes. Zoink. And a little root grows down. Zip. It pops up. And then it starts getting sun and water and nutrients from here. And then it gets leaves, and it gets nutrients from the top, through its leaves, and from its roots. So when it's saying it's germinating, it means it's changing from a seed all the way into a plant. Germinating. It also says that it's getting water and minerals from the soil. Minerals are things that help you grow. We eat food that has minerals in it. Helps us grow, and vitamins too. Next, a small stem pushes out of the ground and grows into 2 tiny seed leaves. The leaves use sunlight to give the tree energy to grow. A new growth is called a shoot. Appears at the tip of the stem. Larger leaves grow from the shoot. The seedling is on its way to become a tree. The young tree keeps growing if it gets enough water and sunlight to survive. In the next year of life, the tree grows buds that may turn into leaves. Soon, the tree has branches, a woody trunk, bark, and lots of leaves. See, it says trunk, bark, branches, leaves. Each year, the tree grows taller and its trunk gets wider. A forester can tell how old a tree is by counting its rings. A tree trunk has 1 ring for each year it has been alive. This tree was more than 100 years old. A forester can also find out how old a living tree is by using a tree borer, a tool that takes out a small piece of the tree without hurting it. Dinky. See, that drills into the side to see how old the tree is. After our trip to the forest, I wanted to grow a tree of my own. Dad took me to the nursery where you can buy flowers, shrubs, and trees. A nursery has trees that have grown big enough to transplant or plant in a new place. The nursery worker showed me trees that have flowers in the spring and fruit in the summer. We looked at trees with soft leaves and trees with pine needles. There's the worker right there, the nursery worker watering the trees. Got to keep them hydrated. Now it says here that it's trees with pine needles. And pine needles are little, small, skinny, pokey little leaves that are on a tree. It's like a leaf. I will put a picture up right now so you can see what it looks like. I chose a maple leaf. My tree was already more than 4 feet high, just a little taller than me. You can see how wide it is and how tall it is and how tall she is. So let's see if it changes any. The nursery worker helped me choose a shovel to plant the tree. She recommended organic fertilizer to feed the tree as it grew. Then she went over the instructions on how to plant my tree. I picked out a place in our backyard where the tree would have lots of sunlight and lots of room to grow. Then Dad and I dug a hole with a shovel. The hole was as deep as a tree's root ball and about 3 times as wide. We carefully lowered the tree into the hole. We loosened the burlap bag around the roots. Next, we filled in soil around the tree. I added organic fertilizer to the soil and sprinkled mulch on top. Then I gave my tree a nice drink of water. Now who's taking care of the tree? That's right. Her tree, she's taking care of it. Dad asked an arborist to check the other trees in our yard. An arborist is like a doctor for trees. She pruned the branches of our big trees with pruning shears. She checked all the trees for signs of disease. She also listened for bugs by using a stethoscope. She looked like a doctor. One of our oldest trees had been damaged by a storm. The arborist used a handsaw and a chainsaw to cut off 2 broken limbs. I asked the arborist to check my tree. She said it was doing just fine. She added a stake to help it grow up straight. When the weather turned cold, my tree's green leaves turned bright red. Then they twirled down to the ground. Now, you see the difference? This is what it looks like in the summertime, spring or summer. This is what it looks like in the fall and part of the winter. The next spring, my tree grew buds that turned into leaves. Over the next summer, it grew branches with more leaves. Its trunk grew thicker. Now, look at the tree. Remember before it had the red leaves and the green leaves? Now, It just has a little tiny buds on it, and those will change into the leaves. It says right here, close up of red maple branch with buds on in the spring. This is a leaf for my red maple tree. It has 3 lobes, 1, 2, 3, that have saw-tooth edges. That means they're jagged. Looks like a saw. The bark is dark, gray, and rough with little ridges. That rhymes, bark and dark. All summer, I watered my tree and checked it for insects. It just kept growing. The arborist said my tree would grow 60 feet high. That's taller than my house. Does the tree look different? Kind of hard to tell if there's nobody standing next to it, or you don't have a picture of it, of what it looked like before. But does it look bigger to you? Or wider? More leaves mayhap? Look at my tree now. It's much taller than I am. If I take good care of it, it will be around for a long, long time. A tree is a great friend to grow up with. Well, now look at the tree and the little girl. When she first bought it, it was barely taller than her. Now a whole year's gone by and look how tall it is. You can plant a tree too. Which tree would you choose? You had a long time to decide which tree. So which one's it going to be? Oak tree, palm tree, pine tree, weeping willow, Japanese maple, and a sweet cherry. When they were talking earlier about the pine needles, it's on that kind of tree right there, a pine tree. And that's it. That's the end. Growing trees. There's all of our seed germinating all the way until a plant, and soon it'll be a tree. Growing trees. So friends, did you notice that throughout the book that the tree changed? At times it looked like this, the tree trunk and some branches, and that's about it. And then in the springtime, it started to get some leaves, and they were green. They started growing to get more leaves. And then when it started getting to be fall or autumn, these leaves were no longer green. What color do you think they changed to? That's right, they were more orangish or red. That's what happens in the fall. And then, after the fall, zoink, all the leaves fall off again. And it looks back to the naked tree. But then you look on the ground and there would be leaves all over the floor. Well, friends, I hope you enjoyed this reading, our third reading of this book. And I'll see you again next time. Bye.